Good evening. Welcome to the July 15th meeting of the Weare Board of Selectmen. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Get the right pen that works here. Public comment.
Is Betty going to get up?
Yeah, she's got. You actually have your own. You actually have your own segment next, right after public
I
comment.
understand, but I want to.
No, she's doing something.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And then I'm prepared for the other two. All right.
Even better. We like it when everybody's
Can I
prepared.
speak just briefly before Betty does?
I suppose.
As public, Betty, you can get up, but I wasn't at the last meeting. I happened to be sick, but there were a couple comments made that weren't accurate about the Historical Society. There was also another comment made about 30 feet of stone wall coming out, which that gap's been there, and it's only 13 and a half feet, and that gap's been there at least since 1965. I'm aware of it. 1970 in there. So I did go down and measure it. No rocks have been moved.
Okay.
The vines are growing over it. But I think if we're making comments as a board, we really got to be careful and maybe investigate and make sure we get the right information, because that was publicized. And the person that lives in that house obviously didn't hear about it. But I was taking some photographs of the house, and she came out, and I said, do you mind if I measure the opening here? And because I could see there was nothing disturbed, and she said, no. She said, we had a little crushed rock put in, but nothing was moved, and I could see it wasn't. So I just think we have to be a little more careful sometimes when we're making comments, that's all.
Okay.
Good evening, Betty Straw, Flanders Memorial Road. I understand that there has been a misunderstanding regarding the sign set up at the new gazebo before the patriotic celebration. The Mildred Hall Bequest Advisory Committee, per Mildred Hall's will, was set up to make suggestions to the selectmen about what projects would benefit the town, Article 16, Part 1. Article Part 1, 16, Part 2 states, I request that a suitable memorial be designed and constructed to honor my parents, Charles and Ethel Eastman. The first project was the Charles and Ethel Eastman Conservation Area, accessible from Pine Hill Road off Route 77 in North Weare. A huge boulder is engraved with the words Charles and Ethel Eastman Conservation Area. Since that was in an area of little traffic, the committee has continued to explore other possible locations. When it became evident that the gazebo had to be replaced, it seemed reasonable to proceed with this location for a suitable memorial to honor Charles and Ethel Eastman. This is a public place, clearly visible to all Weare residents. The selectmen had already suggested that the Public Works Department could take the old gazebo down and prepare the ground for a new one. The sign put up before the patriotic celebration was never intended to be permanent and will be removed and a permanent sign installed as soon as it is humanly possible. It will have appropriate signage for which the Mildred Hall Bequest Advisory Committee has been working on since day one. Thank you very much. And I have copies of this for everybody.
Okay.
Thank you. I've got mine at home.
Okay.
In 2 places.
Thank you, Betty. Right.
Thank you. Frank Campana. This past March, for the warrant, there was the proposal for a bond for paving roads. And through all the discussion and the proponents of that. I'm not questioning the merits of it. I don't want somebody to put words into my mouth. But from the board, finance committee, as far as political entities, there was a lot said about the conditions of the roads, why we need this money, et cetera, et cetera. I happened to go to the highway garage Saturday. I needed 4, so Benji's not here tonight, but he'll know what to charge me. I needed 4 or 5 gallon buckets of sand. They weren't quite full because I can't lift them up on the back of the truck anymore. Even my better days, I probably couldn't do it. But in any event, I noticed that the highway garage was paved. Again, I'm not questioning whether it should be or shouldn't be, should be or should not be. That's not my issue. I think rightfully it should have been paved, which it is. But when I first saw that, okay, I thought, where'd the money come from to pay for that? Did it come from the road bond? Okay? Did it come from the highway block grant? Did it come from the highway initial bond for the highway? Well, I see somebody shaking their head no, so I guess nobody paid for it. I don't know.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Well, no,
The potential sources, I'm agreeing.
catching out of the
Right.
corner of my eye. Okay? So I know there's one selectman that doesn't like to have questions asked, but again, that was Saturday. There's nobody I could call Sunday. I actually thought Benji might be here tonight. I think there's an issue. I was probably going to ask him. Does anybody know where the money came from to pay for that paving?
Yeah, Benji said it was encumbered from last year.
Yeah.
Okay, so budgeted money then.
It was encumbered from last year, is what he said.
Yeah, I briefly remember that they didn't get to paving that, but it was encumbered.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I'm correct in saying that it was not included in the bond for the highway garage?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, that's too bad.
But the bond for the highway garage?
Correct.
But that's how you design build, you build what you got money for.
Right, I understand
We
that.
did.
I understand that. Because we lost out on fire suppression, all right, which was a big factor to have a highway garage. So that's gone by the wayside. If the town decides to have fire suppression at some point in time, it's going to fall back on the taxpayers, obviously. So that was in a sense, a misstep. The paving was not included. I don't, unless it could not have been included as part of the highway bond, it should have been part of the project. Well, okay, it's encumbered money. That's okay, I guess, but it's taxpayers' money. It's not included. It was not included in the bond. I mean, I don't know how far. I don't know how far that pavement would have gone to, fix a road. Maybe not far. I don't know, but still, if the roads were the push last year, this past March, deplorable condition, which I'm sure they are, many of them. Again, that's not my issue. It's fallen back on the taxpayers to pick up the misstep and the loss of the highway garage and that funding. So, the taxpayers are left to pick up the tab, unbeknownst to them. That money would have been better, that encumbered money would have been better to put into the roads that are in deplorable condition. Again, I'm not questioning the fact that the highway shouldn't have been paved. It should have been. It should be, and it is. Okay? But the funding mechanism always falls back on the shoulders of the taxpayers. But you guys have plenty of money, and I guess it's all right, but where's the direction of the taxpayer, where is the direction of that money going to be? We'll wait till see when you set the tax rate, how much will be borne by the taxpayers. So that's my only comment, and again, I want to stress, I'm not questioning that it should have been paved or should not have been. It should be, again, because there are people out there that will try to put words into my mouth. And I, if they want to do that, tell me directly, but, so it's a project that should have been done, and I think it's great that that it was done. But the paying of it is not, not a desirable way to do it, encumber money, especially for something that should have been covered by the bond, I think. Thanks.
Tim Matheson. I'd like to thank the Highway Department and Benji Knapp and the Select Board for the preparation of the gazebo site. They come out good. A couple items I was kind of a little ticked off about, I heard the last meeting. Items from the gazebo. All those items were posted in the messenger paper that we were going to take down and take out and so forth. If there's any thought, someone could have called us, the historical board or myself or anybody. But we did take those items. They're in the barn. There's some beat up old electrical boxes, flag holder, and the original plaque is going to stay at the Historical Society building. There were some lights. The bulbs we took out there are LED bulbs. We took those out, but the cans were too rusted. We didn't bother with those. So I hope that's cleared. I'll bring these items to the town clerk's office if you want me to. But as far as reuse, I just soon have them here as down there. I don't think we really want any third-party people in the building down there.
Tim, can I just interrupt a second?
Sure.
Those lights have been brought up and all the electrical, that box is brought up and given to Naomi today.
Excellent. Excellent. The second thing was the signpost I hear so much about. That was not malicious intent by no means. I think you all know that we strive to get this gazebo up for the 21st. We went through great lengths to get this thing done on a Saturday, get it up and get it going. There again, thanks to the Highway Department and everybody else that prepped the site. But the sign, we rushed. There was a person in the business park down in B&B Lane who was going to make a sign picture frame for that plaque over there. Unfortunately, it didn't fit the post. We were going to jacket the post with a white vinyl column cover, and it would have matched the thing accordingly. And the picture frame was going to be painted bronze. It was an aluminum frame. It was going to be painted bronze, and it would have looked much better. I made that thing up Friday night trying to get it done for Saturday morning so people would know where this thing came from. But there again, it's like Sherry was talking about earlier. Maybe we should just ask around a little more before we start pointing fingers, malicious intent. There was something brought up about the handicap entrance from East Street, adjacent to the granite steps that are there now. Benji and I measured that out. There's exactly 37.5 feet from the road edge of East Street to the gazebo top deck, and it's more than enough to give a handicap entrance, a ramped entrance. And there's 25 inches of grade difference between the two, so more than enough room to do that. And then I have a question. The East Street roof painting. Had we tried to see if we get a waiver for the $960 quote from Primex? There was a quote last season given by a gentleman,
Oh, the one that didn't have
but he didn't
insurance?
have insurance.
Yeah.
Did we try to reach out to Primex and see if there's a waiver that he could do, or
No, I don't believe we did.
could we try that? Second question was, someone mentioned the House of Corrections, if that was a possibility. Was there anything
I haven't
come of that?
talked to yet.
Huh?
I've not had time to reach out to them yet.
All right.
Can I just?
Sure.
This is maybe not proper, but the waiving of insurance, where does it stop? You know what I'm saying?
So what?
You're gonna do one, how many more are we gonna do it for? He gets hurt, it's our dime. I'm just saying, that's why we've always had the
Well, that's what the
insurance.
indemnification form's for.
Well, we've always had to have insurance to work here.
No, that's
Well,
not true.
Doesn't mean it was right. Just saying, today's world.
But
everybody
can we
wants-
try?
I can ask him.
Reach out to
I
Primex
just don't
and-
know that that's the right move for us, but I can ask.
Well, they wouldn't tell you, so. The other thing too is I called certain department heads about issues and items and don't get phone calls back all the time. So this might have been a little bit of what parlayed into the July 1st meeting, misinformation. I leave messages, but no callbacks. 50% of the time I do get callbacks, but the other half I don't. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Okay. I, as one member, will say that I don't believe that there was any malicious intent with the sign. It was more questionable. It just appeared. We had no idea on this side of the table where it came from, who put it up. It was a 4x4 for a week before it was a sign. So we had no idea. We figured, and we assumed, and we were wrong. It was a historical society, not the Mildred Hall. We had talked about, I remember when we were talking about the gazebo and how we were going to put it up, that there was going to be some kind of a formal, whether it was like a stone or something, and that showed up, that post, and we're like, well, that wasn't what we expected. Where'd that come from? So it was more, I believe, questionative rather than malicious, get it off the property, that looks like, crap, etc. So I don't, like I say, if that's the way it came across, as one member apologized.
Phone call back would have
Well,
cleared that all up.
at 6:45, we can't really, and maybe, all right, I follow you now.
What?
Okay, I follow you now, so, okay, we'll move on.
Thank you.
Yep. Betty again. The Mildred Hall Advisory Committee to discuss this PLC purchase. Betty Straw.
And I'm just going to read this one. At the regular meeting of the committee, the Mildred Hall Bequest Advisory Committee on July 10th, 2019, it was voted to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that a reduction from the original request of $50,000 by the Piscataquag Land Conservancy be reduced to $7,867 for the project on Weare Tax Map 410, Lot 8, and abutting the Farron Pond Conservation Land and Weare Conservation Land. Thank you for your consideration of this request. And if you have any questions about it, I'm going to refer you to Tom Jones, who's here, and who can answer questions much better than I can for the Conservancy.
Tom, come on up.
Hey,
Howdy again.
good. What questions can I answer?
So, how do we get from 50 to 7?
Well, as the requirement that was put on the Mildred Hall request to wait until deeds were finalized and approved for the town attorney to review them in order to get the money for us to be able to close was impossible. And so we had to find money elsewhere, which we did. And so we brought in a little over $285,000 from various sources, and to make up for what we needed in order to know that we could close. We had to know that we had money commitments, and the $285,000 from other sources, the deal was, we commit to giving you X dollars, provided you give us a product of X proportions. And so it's not till the very end of these projects that these deeds get approved. This deed had to go through the Attorney General's office, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Department of Environmental Services, and PLC's legal counsel. And so there would not be enough time between that, just the turnaround time for us to close. So we went to, I don't know if you provided them this.
Provided them all the emails you provided me.
Very cool. So there's a budget page in there. And so monies were found from 3 private foundations as well as a local fundraising campaign that we conducted. We got $15,000 from an environmental trust, the Wharton Trust $11,000, Field Pond $10,000, and $880 from local residences who provided that. And so the remaining, plus, by the time we get down to this close to the end, after we get our legal fees and invoices, and the appraisal had to be updated, so there's basically been 2 appraisals that were paid for because the Department of Environmental Services requires that. So we got all the final budget, which leaves us remaining the, from $7,867 is what we have remaining on the project, which was a almost $95,000 project. And we also have another reimbursable grant that we have just gotten word from that they're processing the check, which was $15,000 from the Merrimack Conservation Partnership for this. Does that answer your question? Or did I
think you've opened up more
sidetracked?
questions for me. So it sounds to me like to sign the deed, the funding has to be up front. Is that true?
We have to have the money to give
In hand.
the seller. That's correct.
In hand. So where is the 7,800 going to go that we are doing now past the
To
close date?
reimburse us for costs that we have spent on things like appraisers, environmental assessments, baseline documentation, various things, legal fees, closing attorney, and the closing. I also included the closing statements for you as well, as to who paid who what.
Okay. Does the board have any other questions of Tom?
Normally, Tom, though, we've always given you the money, whatever you've requested, if we've approved it. You've gotten the money prior to the closing normally, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we wouldn't have had to go searching. Actually, the trusts that we had to go to for this money, we wouldn't have gone to them for this project. We would have gone to them for other projects.
It took from March to, when did you close? End of June, to get this all together.
Yes, sir, absolutely did.
The only question I have, and it's more like in the business area, is that usually you don't pay for something unless you see the paperwork, prior to paying for it. We haven't seen all the deeds, we haven't seen all the paperwork from the Corps of Engineers or DES or anything like that. And if I was going to pay for something in the business world, to me, that's like buying a pig in a poke until I get to see it, and then I'd ante up the money. I'm not saying that this is what it is, but
don't
we have to
when
be.
you have a house built, you sign a contract with
a contractor,
builder,
and I have a contract, but
don't
we don't
pay-
have a contract. You came in March and laid this out for us, but we haven't seen all the other paperwork you sent to them, and you're requesting us to pay for something we haven't seen. If I build a house, which I've done and bought property, I've got a contract. I see the physical thing. I know it's past muster because I'm probably paying for a lot of it
Right.
while it's going along.
Well, here's the thing.
We,
is that the
we've gotten
conservation
some
easement-
emails, but I know there's been some times that we haven't got any contact back when asked about it, and I know that Naomi had sent some stuff out, and we hadn't heard back, in a regular fashion. So, I mean, I'm just concerned.
I
I haven't seen any of the paperwork for that, and, what do they entail? Is there something else that, we could get questioned on later on? Because that's what I'm looking at. We have to, make sure that this is all what it should be on our end.
That's right. And the conservation easement deed itself is the house.
Well,
So, if you ask a house builder to build a house and you won't decide whether you want to pay for it or not till after he builds it, he's not going to do it.
right, I understand that,
And the
but that's,
conservation easement deed is the house
but
here.
we haven't seen,
I've responded to all emails.
we haven't seen a copy of what the easements went forth on this. I
Yeah, those
didn't
are-
get the attachment, so I mean, I was looking at it. so
I have
didn't
shared
see
the easement with you.
it. Okay.
I shared the easement,
He did.
I have shared the budget, shared the
I've
appraisal.
I've looked at the budget, but I
And I've
mean, what
shared-
about the documents, some of the documents that came back from Corps of Engineers and DES?
This
that-
final
is that-
deed is what came back from the Corps of Engineers.
So what about DES, the
Yes.
report from them?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the
Well, you
question.
sent something in the DES, did they send you a report back in
No, sir.
conjunction?
We send them the deed, and they send me what they want in the deed, and then I tell them what we need in the deed, and they tell me yes or no. This is it. And this has been through state and federal process, which I don't think I need to tell you about that.
Yeah, the other concern I had is we didn't get a chance to give it through our own attorney, the town attorney, so.
I'm sorry. Everything you asked for in the deed is here for your attorney to review, and for the things that you all asked for, and the project is done, and either
So,
we
okay.
brought in $285,000 to this, and if the board wishes to participate in the project and allow Mildred Hall to provide less than $8,000, that's fine, and if you don't, that's fine.
I mean, that question is like, like you said, building a house. If I'm gonna have a contract with somebody, I'm gonna go take it to the attorney and get the fine points done before I ante up with anything and go into the contract, and then there's money spent.
All these other agencies ponied up money with an agreement that for this money, we won't give it to you till you give us this product. All of them did this,
But we didn't.
but you did not, and the town's name is not on any contracts. It's
Okay.
not in the deed, and it's not town funds. So, the question isn't for me. I'm not here to sell this project to you guys. This was, I sold it to the Mildred Hall Trust, and they are the ones asking you for this, not me.
I just wanna make sure
Project-
our i's are dotted and our t's are crossed.
I understand, which is, you have the deed.
So project management, is that from here on out? And same thing with stewardship? So you have an item for stewardship of 8,200, and you have a project management for 10,000 in the budget.
The stewardship is Stewardship and Legal Defense Fund. 5,000.
So that's if somebody comes back at you then?
It's for
It's a fund.
stewardship items, if we have gates that need to go up, trail maintenance, habitat restoration, forest management plan, legal defense, absolutely. And we have a $5,000 minimum required for our accreditation.
Okay, and then the project management, what's the difference in that?
That's the time that we spend making the project happen.
Spend or spent?
Spend. We're not done yet.
Okay. The only one thing that we did not get, actually, we asked for the timber cruise, and we also asked for,
I sent you that.
okay, the ARM grant.
On
We asked to
grant
look
what?
at the ARM grant.
The project, grant agreement?
Right, we asked to look at that only
I sent that
because,
to you, I thought. If I did not,
only because a lot of times with a grant, there's always, I call strings. So,
but the strings have nothing to do with the town of Ware. They have to do with us. I don't
That's correct.
understand what your concern is there.
well, I guess the concern,
And the money certainly came in, as you can see from the closing statements.
I guess the concern, I mean, is just the money, you know what I mean? It's always the money.
What is it you're afraid of exactly?
I'm just seeing.
This project is done. Unless you think we're, creating a myth of the remaining funds left to close out the books.
Let me see appraisal. Closing statement. Yeah, I don't see the ARM grant,
I
Tom.
think that-
You get two on that same day?
Is it PLC indeed?
You want the
Maybe I get
project
that one.
agreement between us and Arm Grant that says, if you do an easement like you want, like we want, we'll give you the money, and they have given us the money.
Yeah, that's what I got.
I can certainly send you the project agreement, that's easy. I
Oh.
thought I had done that.
Maybe I didn't give them.
Let me ask you this, will that delay the vote?
I don't have a vote, so you can't ask me
I
that
understand that,
question.
I wasn't asking.
I don't believe so. But, any other questions from the rest of the board? No? No?
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah.
I need to pass these out for you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I'm just going to give them to John again with you. Thanks, John.
Oops.
Betty, from your seat, how many members on the Mildred Hall Advisory? 6?
Three voting members and 3 alternates,
Okay.
or the total 6.
And it was a unanimous vote? Okay. Okay.
So I can speak from here.
Yep.
I just think this is something that you originally took the 50,000 and more or less, okay, we'll consider this. And this is such a drastic reduction of that, that I can't imagine us not doing it. And it's such a boon for the town. It's something we need to do.
We had the financial reports not too long ago, right? I think, didn't you hit them for us? How much the Mildred Hall had spent over the last years? I don't remember where I
I
put
don't have
that.
it with me.
oh,
I don't have that.
Rough number in the Mildred Hall fund?
I think
On
it's 600.
I can't pull it off the top of my head.
800 and something thousand, I think.
Rough, it's,
800, it was over 800,000.
okay, okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we give the $7,867 for the project in Weare, tax map 410, Lot 8, abutting in the Fair and Pond Conservation Land and Weare Conservation. Fair and Pond, I don't know, and Weare Conservation Land, I don't know.
I'll second the motion.
Just what
You haven't done
location, where'd it come from?
The money.
Amount
who you giving it to either.
to PLC from the Charles and Ethel Eastman Fund.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions?
I'm abstain.
And I didn't vote.
I'd like to look
Think-
over more of the figures.
Make me the hinge. I'll go with a yes. Okay. Moving on.
Total land is up there now.
Well, this piece that,
The two pieces, Tom.
Well, the two of the town forests and then the small PLC tract is about 475 acres. It's split almost equally on each end of the 205 acres.
Okay. Up next, recognize Chief Moore for an update on the police department.
I think
I have another.
Oh,
Betty's got another thing.
Stand by, stand by. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I
And
didn't see
this
that.
is a request from the Mildred Hall Committee to you. At the regular meeting of the committee on July 10th, 2019, it was voted to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that up to $48,000 be expended from the Charles and Ethel Eastman Fund for the road construction project at Hillside Cemetery. Many Eastman family members are buried in this cemetery, and 20% of the total cost of the project will come from the Hillside Cemetery Association. And we feel that this is something that, to honor Mildred's work and generosity to the town, we should help fund that, because if you haven't been over the road in the cemetery, I urge you all to do so. It's absolutely abominable, and it needs to be done. It's a blight on the town if it isn't done, and it's going to be very difficult for the association to do it without some help. And we feel that this is something that we need to back.
Refresh my memory, which one's Hillside?
Weare.
Okay.
Okay. Jack?
Thank you.
This should go up to John.
Oops.
Maybe in the mid-ear.
Thank you.
What, your dog and pony show tonight? Dog and pony show tonight? You know you're gonna have to do this again when we have a public hearing.
Thank you.
You know you still have to have a public hearing, so you have to do it again. After, if the board agrees to do it, you have to have a public hearing.
I'd like to hear.
Thank you, Betty. I also want to thank the Mildred Hall Advisory Committee for supporting this project. And I'm here tonight, Jack Dearborn, 148 Gould Road. I'm a trustee of the Hillside Cemetery Association, and Bob Richards is here this evening as well. And let me just take you through the package if I could. We presented this on July. I actually added pictures in here as requested. So this is a little more than what I presented the other night on the 10th. Okay, here's the objective of Hillside Cemetery. This is on 149, just leaving Country Three Corners, going up over the hill on the right. Okay, and the reason for this is, as Betty mentioned, the road is really in tough shape, especially on the back side of the cemetery. It kind of goes through a loop. So this project is to provide safe, adequate, and long-term access for existing cemetery lots and future interments. Something that we've taken very seriously here as the Hillside Cemetery Association is do no harm to the scenic beauty. Okay, there's a backdrop there now of 6 very prominent rock maples, and these basically frame the back of the cemetery. Where you're having to take up the old road, which is basically directly underneath it. So, and the other thing is, when we do make it into that cemetery, we have to go over existing roads, and we limit the amount of tonnage on a 10-wheeler, not on yards, 12 yards to limit the possible destruction. And the road on the back has there's probably 50 trees that lined that whole road. There's only 6 remaining. I think it was probably in 2013 or 2014. We had a tree go down. Fortunately, a big tree went in the right direction, meaning away from the monuments. And the interesting part was it was rotten. And so it looked as good as the other ones. So we said, we got to get rid of these trees because there's going to be a significant damage should they come down in a high wind. So I approached John Brown Land Clearing, and they were very kind and agreed to do it for basically the chips and the wood. And we did that. Since that time, there's not a lot of tree cover over that road. And when it comes to a downpour, like we get here occasionally, all the water goes directly on the road, doesn't filter down through the trees, and we're getting severe washouts at this point. And as a result, to be open and honest, as a result of this effort, some additional interment space becomes available to provide long-term support for the local community. That's a byproduct of the effort. Page 3, this is my PowerPoint rendition of the site. And I basically looked at, I'm familiar with the site, but I basically looked at Google Maps, and I was able to basically mind's eye put this in perspective. It's not to scale by any means. But 149 is on the bottom. There is a gate that enters off 149, and you go around the left, typically, go around this rotary, and as you turn to the right by the thing called P there, that's a picture I've got in here to show that view. There is a big maple tree right there. From that dashed red lines all the way up to parking lot. That's the existing road. All that has to come up. Basically, for a portion of this, in front of those 4 maple trees, we just have to peel back the asphalt, not damage the roots while we do that, and loam over the top of it for the cemetery. What we decided to do to minimize the damage to these trees is, to some point, go to this red, and it's somewhat arbitrary. It depends on the minimum material that we need to bring in to make the road. There's a flattish kind of an area we can turn just before those 4 trees there. Those, does everybody know where I'm pointing to here? Yeah. And then we move the road in back. Now, this road here is 670 feet originally, and where it sits now. In order to do these turns, we pick up another 25 feet. So, principally for the reason of doing that is so we don't do any damage to these maple trees here. Now, the E here is with the Eastman plot, which you can turn the page 4. This is, on the right-hand side is George and Millie Hall's engravement on the stone, and on the left is a stone where they are. And I think there's 5 family Eastman plots going all the way down to the beginning of the turn down there. Just some of the other roads here, pictures of the road. I think I stood and turned down the road and took a picture of this on page 5 on the left. And on page 5 on the right, I believe I turned 180 degrees looking up, and I took a picture of, this is an example of the roots coming up through the road. Now, this road was probably done in the 50s. I don't recall it. It was always there since I've been traveling through there. And I think Bunny Phelps did it, a guy in town. He was the road agent, dog catcher, everything. Police, part-time police, everything under the sun. I think it was on the fire department.
DOT worker.
But he also did asphalting jobs because he worked for the highway department. And so he was a guy you call up if you wanted some asphalt done. And he'd come in with his little dump truck and his tiny little bulldozer, and he would scratch enough of the loam off, and then he would put a little sand on. This is what you got. So it's lasted almost 60 years. Maybe even a little bit longer. Page 6, again, this is an example of the roots coming from underneath the maple trees, crossing the road, and this is another Eastman plot down the road a little bit. So you can see where it kind of, and the problem is, these roots are large, okay? When they come out underneath on the other side of the road, they're still large. So when we have to dig this road out, we have to make sure before the excavator digs it,
Cut off.
get out there with our cut-off saw and cut the root off, because these go deep into the grave area. And there's another slide back here that actually shows one tipping one over on the Davis lot. I think I,
You have it.
Yep.
yeah, this is the one here, and this is the shot P on it on the diagram. So basically, this is a typical, this happened to be a pine tree, about this big around, rotted in the inside, looked perfect good before they cut it. You can see where it's gone across, and on the cross the other side of the road, this is where it emerges, and you see this D on it for the marker, corner marker for Davis. That actually knocked that over. And it also veers off and goes into the actual grave site of father, whoever that is. So I'm saying there is a huge opportunity for some kind of breakage here when we do this. So we've studied this. We trying to absolutely minimize any impact to this. And specification that we've discussed with various people, one was Benji a while back, we decided we would excavate 15 inches down, and we will bring in 8 inches to 3 minus, that's process aggregate, where basically everything, run it through the crusher, everything below 3 inches gets put in the truck, so to speak. And then we will compact that and then put 4 inches of 1 inch minus. That'll make a very nice base for final grading. And then we will do typical for the town of Weare, 2 inches of binder coat, compacted down to 2 inches, goes on about 2 1/4, 2 1/2, 3/4 aggregate. And then 1 inch wear coat on top, it goes down 1 1/4, just compacted to 1 inch, 3/8. And that will basically, and the road is 11 feet wide, okay? We're gonna excavate 12 feet wide, so we have a 6 inches either side. So, and the budget is as follows. The actual dirt excavation and aggregate to bring in is 17.6. This is for the big road in the back. The piece that you can see coming off 149, the entrance, that's $3,250. There is purchasing of loam. There's very little loam on that site. It's just basically before it was a field or whatever it is now, especially in back of the trees. We got to do a lot of the pulling out of 50, 60 stumps. It requires a considerable amount of loam. And tree work, because these trees never been pruned back, especially on the cemetery side. There's an enormous amount of weight on the cemetery side because the back was always backed up against trees. So the other problem is we have to take some weight off and cut up high enough to get the machinery underneath the dump truck. And the problem with the dump truck is that this road is only going to be especially the old, take up the asphalt and put down the loam. You just can't back up a 10-wheeler and dump, because you're going to get half of it into the cemetery lot. So there is some logistics here of minimizing, having people to get in and shovel away from the gravestones. So this road basically is within 2 feet of where the people are buried. Moving down, the asphalt work, I got a bid out of Sam Cooper and Sons, paving by Sam Cooper and Sons. I also got a bid from Advanced Excavating and Paving for $29,000. I got $20,000 or $19,900 out of Sam Cooper. And I did make an initial contact with R&D from a business card that Benji gave me, or maybe it was Joe. I called him up, managed to get the guy the first shot. Send me all your information. I email it to him, and I tried 3 times after that. He never returned my call or my text. So I don't know if it'd be cheaper, but I think the issue is they're a large company. So is Advanced Excavating Paving. They have a lot of overhead to lay on a small job.
And they're probably busy in this season.
Well,
Yeah.
there
to
lies
speak
the
of.
other problem,
Yeah.
trying to get somebody in here, you know?
Yeah.
They're already bidding up next year, So basically, the split that we propose is that we're requesting the Motor Hall Advisory Committee getting your approval and getting funds from the C&E Eastman Fund of $48,000. That's 80%. Our Hillside Cemetery Association, we are a trust, we're a 501c13. It's been operating for, I don't know how long it's been operating as a trust, but it's been there for 200-plus years, the actual cemetery, especially up on the top piece. We basically have to pay for all the mowing and the maintenance, and we have monies that are locked up in encumbered money, meaning we can't touch the principal. We have some money that's unencumbered as far as touching the principal. We're allowed to have the interest or the gain or some portion of it. So we wouldn't be able to do the whole project. It would basically put us in extremis for the nonprofit. But the board has agreed to put 12,000 forwards, and we're requesting your support and approval on the 48. Any questions?
Yep, I got a couple, Jack. So, page 8,
Yes, sir.
we'll go with the roots coming up,
Yep.
the way that they are through that road. I assume that that's that road, but that from the picture, from where it says about 40 to the parking lot. Am I correct in saying
Anywhere
it?
along there.
Okay.
Where particularly for 8 is, make sure which one it is.
Yeah. So is that a section of road that you're also going to update as well, or no? Or you guys got to go right around the outside?
Excuse me. This whole piece
Yep.
is the existing road.
Yep.
This red piece is a rebuild road.
Okay.
This is just recapturing the asphalt and loaming that to get rid of the road,
Okay.
and the road comes out here.
So this is going to be removed and become loam.
Correct.
Okay.
More.
Okay.
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Okay.
And this is basically repurposing the old road.
Okay. I understand
Gotta
now.
remove the asphalt. So-
Okay. I understand now.
So, we've been studying this for a few years,
Okay.
and every year it gets more expensive.
Yeah, of course it does.
It's like
Yeah.
the ratchet, it only goes one way, right?
That's right. That's right.
And we heard the story earlier about, for the town roads, that asphalt is a residual distillation product. You take a barrel of oil, and you don't distill oil to get asphalt. So it's like a commodity, and there's only so much oil done a year, so there's only so much. And then who knows what's going to go on with world events. So
Right.
we'd like to secure the money. The intention is on the back page is that we will do the dirt work, and we will haul all the loam in, even though we won't spread it. That we'll do a coarse spreading, rough loam, and we'll do the asphalt. So basically, all the heavy lifting is done on the old road. Then in the spring, summer, or whenever in 2020, we will do the 1-inch and spread and seed below. So that's basically the essence of the project.
Any questions, board members?
Did you already, is Sam Cooper gonna do the dirt work?
No.
on the aggregate? Did you
No, I
get bids?
have, I've asked Shovelworks local,
Yeah.
Jeff Spring.
Yeah.
He has given a lot of his time to help us trade off the best solution to do this. And I believe, because we know exactly, well, within 1 or 2%, we know how much asphalt's got to be removed, how many trucks that is.
Yeah.
We know the portion of the road we're going to rebuild, how much that is, and how much going around the 695 feet, 12 feet wide, 15 inches deep. That's like 380 cubic yards. That can be put someplace on site, still got to be trucked. And then we know how much material to fill in 15 inches is. And we know how much Sam is bringing in. So I think we've got a very solid handle on this. And so we'd like to do this, majority of it, for this year, and then finish it up next year. And I think everybody told me, oh, by the way, I need to give credit to Roland Bowie. I went to school with him. I think we were in the Boy Scouts together. So I called, when I need to know something about asphalting, I called Roland. And he no longer runs Weare Paving, he's sold out. But he does recommend highly and does work with paving by Sam Cooper and Sons. So feel very confident in that selection.
Yeah, and we have to have a public hearing on this because of the
Yep.
amount.
Well, no, because that's always what you've done. You've listened to the first presentation, and then you have public hearing. For anybody that didn't know what was going to be talked about tonight, has the opportunity to come
Yep.
in.
Okay. I have no problem with it, but we got a public hearing.
Thank you.
So, thank
for
you.
your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you, Betty. Jack?
Daddy,
Okay.
thank you, Jack.
All set? Okay. Chief Moore?
All right, good evening. So I found myself pretty much getting a good handle on the department. I've got 3 main tasks for the remainder of the year. Kalia is first off. I'll be doing a lot of policy review and revision in accordance with that. Budget is number 2, that's coming up, and then collective bargaining. Community outreach, some of you seen on Facebook, I've already started that with my first coffee with the chief. Got a meeting set up on August 1st with the library. Michael helped arrange that. Personnel, we have one individual in a background investigation. He's already a certified officer in New Hampshire. So as soon as he completes the background, I'm pretty sure we'll be picking him up. We have one pending vacancy as soon as that's official. I did talk to the officer. He's got a swearing date in Nashua for August 19th, so that should be coming along pretty quick. As soon as that, we have a list of 4. We'll be making a conditional offer to the top of the list. The animal control officer is currently in the background investigation, so that process is proceeding. Any questions?
How was the coffee hour?
It was good. Turnout of about 20. I had a lot of people tell me they forgot about it, but I'll continue to do those probably 2 a month, and I'll vary the different hours so anybody has a chance can come out and meet me at some point.
Yeah, that was, I did notice that on the Facebook feed. It was, can we do it later when people are home from work? And
Oh, sure.
I said, well, that's understandable.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. No, we'll be doing, for me, I put something down there saying, any business in Weare that would like to host the event, I'm open to going there. Obviously, we don't just want to have it at Dunkin's all the time, so open it up and see how it continues to evolve.
Nice. Former Chief Kelly did a lot of work, and the department also, and the officers did a lot of work with the CALIA program.
Sure.
Your feelings on our status as far as where we are at now right now?
Behind on a few tasks, nothing, our assessment in September, I'm sure we'll be able to catch up. Obviously with the transitions, probably got a little behind there. Stuff wasn't followed through with, and I'll give you an example, some of the policies have specific months they have to be revised or reviewed in. If the person in charge wasn't doing that, it didn't get done. So as I revise policies, the big thing is quarterly. It's semi-annual. It's annual. I don't lock it down on a specific month because that's how you get out of compliance. So we might be out of compliance. I've already talked with John, who's the guy who helps us with CALIA, and we'll just switch those policies out for others so we get in compliance, and then we'll revise them for CALIA, and we'll be good to go. So
Awesome. When does the collective bargaining
end of the year?
end of the year?
Yeah, we talked about that upstairs before we came down. This is the year to do it.
Yep.
I think the hope is he's been working diligently with his staff as Beth has created a list of a few things that we've got issues with, not really clear, and I think she's worked with Chris, and then Chris has worked with the other staff to see. But, I mean, we start that about the same time you start, because it's all part of your budget.
Right.
So we're hoping that we would finish up by fall, sometime in the fall, so that we can not spend a lot of time doing that. And I don't want to be last minute. A couple of years we were last minute, because you have to be done in January.
Right.
Because then snow flies and things get crazy.
Yeah.
But
You get out of hand. That's
And
for sure.
my goal is to have all the issues that, on both sides, resolved before it even goes into collective bargaining. So we're just putting it on paper at that point, other than salary or anything else above my level of responsibility.
Right. Awesome. How's the transition been?
It's been fine.
This is big department to smaller town.
A lot more drama where I come from, so this is easy.
All right.
Don't speak too soon.
I'm sure I've seen it.
So. Okay, I've been hogging the mic. Any questions for the chief?
No questions. I just wanted to say that I've had some people say that they've seen the police officers around town, so
Sure.
And on a positive angle.
That's great. It's a great group of officers. They did a good job of hiring the right people for the job. We just got to make sure we're keeping them.
Yep. Anything on this side of the table?
Did anyone want to ask about, I mean, John, we talked about overtime, but I think you might have just addressed it. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah. How come the secretary's getting overtime again?
So one of the things that they're kind of missing is accountability for the department, and that's something I'll be pushing forward. So right now, I have them categorizing both for the secretary and for the officers, what kind of overtime they're doing. For officers, it's arrests or it's investigations. How we justify it's necessary for them to go beyond what they're normally doing. For her, every time the bell rings, she has to get up and answer it. Every time the phone rings, she has to stop what she's doing and answer it. She's getting a lot of FOIA requests. I think they get more FOIA requests here than we did on our whole department in a city of 240,000, and she does them all. Everything that has to do with record retention, she does, payroll, et cetera, et cetera. I'm having her break down those categories so you can see exactly how she's doing the overtime. But I don't know if you've had any generational difference on training. Millennials don't like to work overtime. They're doing it because they're dedicated to their job. They're not looking to make extra money. They'd rather go home with their family. So it's a necessity. We're lucky that we have employees that are committed to doing the job.
Well, and to follow up on that, you also have a part-time secretary's line that you might want to be looking at in your
In the future.
upcoming budget.
Sure.
We talked about that.
Yep.
Yep.
Might help her on her FOIA traffic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or records retention might be better since FOIAble it's so specific and can get us into trouble. So I might pass off a lower duty of record retention to somebody because that's easier to train.
Okay.
But we'll work it out.
Anything on this side of the table? No? No? All set? Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, chief.
All right. Quaker Street discussion.
Okay, Sharon and Mark, is it? Okay. So, they were here a few weeks ago when Benji was here, and we talked about the plan that Jim Donison had presented for them, if you remember, this one here. I spoke to Benji a little bit, and I also had spoke to, which I shared with all of you, the, about the forest for easement. I mean, the easement goes back to 1766, which there's 66-foot right-of-way through there. What you always run into without necessarily having it all surveyed is the pavement in the middle of the right-of-way, is it off to their side? So you can't just really take the middle of the street and go out 33 feet.
As the-
You know,
yeah.
it's not as quickly as science as that works, but, so we can, we can't flow the water, or not supposed to flow the water. Sharon brought up that point. So to address it, I guess, what Benji said is, he would be willing to do, is to donate or give to them, purchase the 30 yards of bedding stone and some pipe. I don't know what the pipe number is. He said 3 lengths, but 3 lengths is 60 feet. And I do understand what he meant with not making it 250 together, because if you have a problem, then you've got to dig everything back up. But if you have a problem in one area, it might be just a length that you have to, either it's plugged or whatever. So that leaves, I guess, what, he'll still have to maintain so that what flows through doesn't plug up what they're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? So it has to be a partnership to a degree that we have to keep our end of the pipe
Clear.
Clear.
flowing, but not so that it flows everything. We have to kind of keep as much as we can. I don't know that it's feasible to keep it all. Obviously, we wouldn't be talking about this. So I did speak to Sharon earlier tonight just to let her know that we were talking about it. But that's what Benji had said. He couldn't be here tonight, but that's what Benji said he felt we could do, is to supply the material for them. And if you guys have means of doing it. So I don't know if that's something you guys want to do.
Yeah.
Or if you have any more questions for them. That's why I asked them. I didn't want
Yeah,
to.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that we reached out to town council, and like I said, and I've stopped and looked at it. I don't know if you noticed me out there or not, but I did stop and look at it. I never got out of my car, but I did kind of like, yeah, all right, yeah. I did take a look, and it's just, I think the layout of the road is absolutely terrible where that is, as far as water. I mean, it's a nice sweeping turn, but where does the water go? And I've known the Trasks for a good number of years across the street. I looked at that option of digging out in front of, on the other side of his driveway type thing. It's a terrible area, just absolutely terrible. So, if I think, and this is obviously just me speaking as one, if Benji was 3 lanes of pipe, and the material is something that we can work out and everybody can be happy, I'm as one and more than happy to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great compromise.
Okay. Yeah.
We can start deal with it on
Always
our
been,
end.
yeah, willing to, just wanting to work with you,
Mhm.
to try to help us
Yep.
deal with it and
Mhm.
let it just, be dealt with properly and.
Mhm. Yeah, not have all the water.
So do you
Yeah.
want just to, if they need a 4th length, you're gonna stick with 3 lengths? If Benji works with them on that part?
Right,
Yeah.
How-
Yeah, I think if
Yeah.
Benji works with him, we'll let,
Benji.
Let
yeah.
Benji make the decision.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
he's gonna know more than we know.
Heck of a lot more than me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, so if you estimate three lengths
3 lengths
and
is
30 yards.
about $250
but he could
a
work with them
length,
too.
20-foot length, so
Yeah.
whatever the stone.
Yeah. But if the other
They
thing
could
is,
drop the stone over.
yeah, but the other thing
There's a
is,
few crossings at least,
Right.
right, the other thing is though, if we dug it, and this is going extreme, if we dug a trench down the side of the road,
Well, I think, looking at that,
where would that put us financially?
Oh,
I'm
well,
no,
thinking,
but I'm
You
saying
put the water
we're
down
supposed to be
the bottom of the
ditching the
hill.
side of the road anyway, so to
Right.
keep the water
but I
off.
think,
But I'm saying,
I think we need to do both.
as far as, yeah, but I'm saying, just so you know, roughly, he said it's $250 a length.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the asphalt edge.
and the stone wall, right. You can make a good ditch there, but, again, it's only gonna take so much water, it's not gonna take it all.
But,
So,
yeah, it's true, but I'm saying the 200, I'm just giving you a price-wise, it's $250 a
Yeah.
Yeah.
length, so.
So what I can do, I don't know if you need to make a motion or whatever.
Yeah.
I can work with Benji to get them to work with Sharon and Mark.
yeah, if we could, yeah, I'd rather have Benji work with it, because he's the one obviously knows what's going on. I swing wrenches, I don't do,
Okay,
I don't do digging in the dirt, so.
all right.
Try it
If
sometime.
you don't think you need a
You got a
motion,
machine
I
now.
can
I got a
pass that
machine
on.
now, don't worry.
And Sharon, do you want me to just give him your phone number? Okay.
How you want to phrase that?
Or you'd like to.
Do you have that other, do you have the, yeah, that one.
This has the attachment, okay.
Yeah, move to authorize the DPW director to supply 30 cubic yards of bedding stone and
Approximately.
approximately 3 lengths of culvert pipe for the drainage issue located at 76 Quaker Street. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Awesome.
One
Okay.
off your thing, one off your item.
I
list.
like that, that's right. Yep. I like it when that list gets shorter.
Pull that thorn out.
Yeah, that's right.
So the next one's been on your list for a long time, is Class 6 roads, and I
Yep.
believe I sent you that 7-page letter.
Yeah,
Yes.
I did read
From
that.
Bill Drescher.
Yeah,
You have a couple waiting in the wings, Wordley Road. There's actually a couple over, one gentleman, I think on Sawyer or Jewett Road, has 2 lots waiting
Yep.
to see what the answer is.
yeah.
So, a long-winded 7-page letter, of which probably
It could be
three,
condensed to about a page.
2.5 pages
Yeah.
is just the state law. I think the bottom line, you guys all read it, I'm sure, is we're gonna kind of start the process a little different. They have to come here first.
Mhm.
But at the same time, what's been given out in years past, not gonna say it's wrong, but things have changed, and doesn't mean you have to continue to do
Right,
what's
and
been
that's,
happening.
that's why I interpreted when I read it. Yeah, right.
So-
And I agree. I mean, I'm thinking, if the first, and I'm obviously gonna use Wordley as a
Right.
target.
That's 1,370 feet.
That's a long way.
And that's not a driveway.
100 feet,
No.
200 feet up it, and turn off and breach the wall and up your driveway, different story. At that point, you start putting that, we're north of a quarter of a mile off of our
Right.
maintained road.
Plus, there's other owners that are gonna be affected by that.
Or potentially could go further. So where does it stop?
Right.
And who maintains what?
Right,
On a town road.
exactly.
I don't care if we maintain it or we don't maintain it, it's a town road. So.
Someday you're going to, well beyond us. There's gonna be houses.
Oh, absolutely,
yeah.
but, I mean, my thing is I'm thinking if there's anything over, 250, 500 feet, it'd be brought up to the standard that the road is being continued from. Whether it's paved, class 5, dirt, it's gonna be brought up.
It's a class 6 road. It's laid out, there's boundaries, what the road's width is, it's probably a 2-rod road.
Yep.
And to turn around and say, oh, you just have to meet driveway standards would be like
Right.
12 feet.
Doesn't make
No.
sense.
And that's what we've already started.
Yeah.
And then we end up in a real quagmire because now, they're gonna wanna continue up. Now, we've already given them that, but to me, it's like, we're gonna end up like East Shore Drive.
Yeah.
And they're
Yep.
gonna be building out in the right of way, they're gonna be,
Yep.
it's
And it's
gonna
gonna
be
be
moved,
disaster.
and it's gonna be a disaster. So, and at some point in time, like, Naomi said, somebody's gonna wanna build out there more and more, and then we're gonna end up taking in another road that's,
Mm-hmm.
and it's putting more of a burden, A, on the highway department, B, on everybody else, the taxpayers, to
And
to try
theoretically,
and to
we'll be
go through that.
rewinding 30 years back to the developments like Etta and Bogue Road and.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
back
A road
we're gonna
that's
be in
not
the, we're
built.
gonna be in the same
Yeah,
boat.
same
So,
jackpot, yeah.
I think, I think that they have to meet the standard. It's not a driveway, it's a road. It's a
Mm-hmm.
town road. They can't make it a driveway, so they have to meet the standard.
And I think, like you said, I think there should be I almost want to say a distance clause. If it's, like I said, 200 feet or something, different story. I mean,
I wouldn't
You
even,
know?
I wouldn't even give them a distance. It's a town road. I mean, it's laid out on that, it's marked on that as a town road. I wouldn't say, okay, you get
All
to go
right, so-
250 feet up the road, so then then you open the can of worms. Well, you gave them 250 feet. I want another 250
Yeah.
feet from there. And I mean, you
Okay.
look at that area,
Mm-hmm.
and there's enough places that, oh, well, I want to put another driveway into the back end of my lot. There's other
Yeah.
lots on the next road that abut that, and then you're going to end up with,
Well, plus the fact we have to be concerned with the safety vehicles as well.
well, I mean, they travel on a Class 6 road at their own risk at that point. But I
Right.
mean, the thing is that
but it's still, they're still taxpayers of the town. They're
still
still expecting
taxpayers
that-
of the town, and
they're
that's
still
right.
expecting
And
that,
I
Their
think
service.
that
house is burning down.
they're gonna, that's where the issue comes. If we have to get in a piece of emergency equipment up
Yeah.
there, and we just went through that on Blake Road,
It may look great on day one, but what's it look like in 10 years?
and we just went through that on Blake Road this winter, trying to get apparatus in.
Oh, it was a grand old time.
Yeah. So, that's what I'm saying. I think to do that, I think we open up
Yeah.
an issue that we're gonna end up having.
But now let me ask you this. Now if the board says, okay, so from where we stop maintaining, whatever it is, say it's class 5 paved, okay?
Yep.
If you go out another 1,000 feet, you bring it up to this standard,
Which you can do.
paved class 5.
You can bring them up to that standard. As far as paving it.
But here's my thing, paved class 5.
Yeah.
Now do we move the class 6 sign down?
If you take that as a Class 5 road, then you're gonna make
Yes.
it to that standard.
If they bring it up to that standard,
Then
then,
you're gonna have to adopt it as part of the
and that's kind of
road.
what I'm thinking.
Right.
I'm just thinking if we do that, are we gonna start
Well, you can make it
losing-
up to that standard and leave it as a dirt road.
Are we
I mean,
gonna-
there's nothing
yeah.
that says that you have to take the road.
But at that point, I mean, if they bring up to the class 5 standards, all right, now say it's not pavement, it's dirt. Say they bring it up to class
Then it
5
can still
dirt.
stay as Class 6 road. According to the way I read that, we don't have to take the road. We can make them,
I mean,
They'd have to maintain it.
they have to maintain it. Then you have to get the maintenance agreements.
but that'd be my thing, is the maintenance agreement.
Well, that's also spelled out there.
You know, because if we don't have a maintenance agreement, it's gonna be all overgrown and it's gonna
Well,
be,
that's
you know,
gonna be, then it's
a
back,
Fiat
it's
going
still
up
back
there,
on
not a
them.
fire
They
truck.
have to turn around
Have
and
to go
do
and
it.
inspect once a year.
Yep, we can't go, you can't go in and put a plow on it and do anything. You can't go in and do any grading in there if it's a Class 6 road.
No, I know that, but if it's brought up to a class 5 road, I guess,
Well, they can go
On the-
bring, you
on
can have
dirt.
them bring it up to the standards. It's still a Class 6 road because we haven't voted to adopt it as a Class 5 road.
but we can tell them
But you
what to
can
bring it
make
up
the
to.
standards to
Okay.
what they
All
have
right.
to hold.
I mean, I don't get a good gut feeling on letting 1,300 feet
No.
driveway
Oh, it's
standard.
12 feet, it's
If you-
driveway
Got driveway
standard.
standard, I'm sorry, I
Well,
can't.
even, I think you
Good
heard
faith.
back
Agree.
from the Board of Fire Wards, though, that
And even
they
that,
had concerns with that
Exactly.
far.
yep.
Yeah,
Because they have concerns with a 400-foot driveway.
Right.
You know what I mean? There has to be turnoffs, has to be wide enough, because if you have something
Pass
up the
trucks.
street,
Yeah.
you have to be able to pass each other, you have to be doing a lot
but
of things.
I guess my concern is now, we've already opened it up, especially that road right there, as an example of how much we already have that's driveway standard.
We didn't open it up. That didn't even come to us.
No.
See, he's suggesting the turn, the.
That went through the
the-
ZBA.
the,
They
steps.
So we
bypassed
didn't get
us,
that.
Oh,
which,
but how much is there that's been approved by,
Well, I
by
mean-
the town as a whole?
We only
Technically-
approved that first driveway on the left.
technically, it's not,
But
it
how
has
much-
to come to before us.
But how much driveway standard was utilized from our class 5 up to class 6 currently?
250 is what the original was that we approved. Well, somebody did back a number of years ago.
What my thought is there's gonna be argument of, from the class 5, I'm not responsible for the first 450 feet, only after that. So now you get a bottleneck.
Well,
You know what I'm saying, though?
yeah,
I
but
mean,
they're gonna have to maintain it. It's not gonna be us. So there should,
I don't disagree
they're
with
gonna
that,
have
but-
to get together as neighbors and draw up a maintenance agreement. That's what's gonna come
But
down.
that's
Who's
gonna
gonna
be
plow it, where they're
Well,
gonna
the
get the
town's gonna
money.
have to inspect on a yearly basis or twice a year or
Road
something.
agent, yeah, we'll have to go
Somebody's
up and
gonna
check
have
it.
to, because if it goes to hell
But-
and you gotta put a fire truck
I
in there.
don't disagree with that, but what I'm asking is you already have 500 feet or 450 feet that's been approved by the town, I'm not saying us, but by the town.
Yep.
So basically, the person that wants to go to the next 1,300 is not responsible for that first 450.
You're right.
Because,
Well, yeah, technically, he's
He's
gonna
off,
be,
so-
because he's gonna be using it to get into that lot.
so it's gonna be like going through the hourglass.
Yeah.
You
So
know, you
again,
gotta go in
it's
this
like-
section, and then we're gonna be
Easy.
class 5.
But-
So unless we, I mean, it's still our road.
That's right, and that was
If
not-
we have to throw another
according
450
according
feet
to the
on there.
legal decision, it should never been approved that way.
Right, but what I'm saying is if we gotta throw another 450 feet on the 1,300
Yeah.
to
well,
bring up,
So then the only other alternative is to go back to the other one, said this was done improperly, and you're gonna have to bring that other
I don't know,
450
if
feet
we
up.
can do that, can we do that? I mean, it's still our road, and I understand
road.
that, but I guess I'm
No,
just,
I don't wanna
question
look
that.
at it that we end up
I
with
just question
another-
that side of it, that's all.
Another bunch of mileage on it, and.
I just don't want the hourglass effect. You know, you come from the class 5 road, and then you gotta go through the skinny section, and then go back to the class 5 road.
Yep,
You know,
but- yeah, but
because that's the way that's the way it's been
Well, or
approved.
either that, you go from the class 5 road and you stay in the narrows all the way up for 1,300 feet. You can't have that either.
No, I don't want that. No, but I'm just thinking that Worthley especially, because it's already got 450 feet of driveway standard.
And
that's-
just because
that's
it's there doesn't
uncommon.
make it right, so.
I'm not saying it is right. I'm just saying
don't
that it's
think-
there, and we gotta address that.
I think that has to be addressed in a separate issue, but the rest of it that's being brought forth, we can't.
Yeah.
ZBA, it didn't come before us, which
No.
it's clearly supposed to.
Yeah, by RSA, and I
And-
think that's just
And they've
not
been
Are you
notified.
you keep saying didn't come to us, so which one didn't come to us?
The new one for the driveway standard on Worthley Road. It just came to us just recently after ZBA already approved it as a
Which
driveway
is
standard.
exactly what happened to the first gentleman.
Yep.
The first
And-
gentleman's been out there for a while,
And,
and I don't know, I don't know exactly how much footage we could ask that, but he came here, just like the rest of them did.
right.
But the problem that you're having is you're looking at this much more. Oops, you can't see it. If you take the tax map, you're looking at this much more.
Oh, I
you're
know.
looking at.
Oh, I know, it's huge.
Get even to the
1,300
property
feet,
line,
you're
not
looking-
even
Huge.
the-
It's huge.
Yeah, it's a
And
good
same, I
chunk.
mean, and theoretically, same thing with Barnett Hill. The class 6 is between the two class 5s, the dirt and the paved section.
Yep.
I mean, that could become, somebody's, and then what do we do with that?
You look at, if you do the math,
I mean, that would be, that'd
1300
be a super highway
feet,
before it was all
you
said
know,
and done, but you get over to River Road, but,
Yeah.
that cut some people's commute down by about, I don't know, half. But, I mean, I'm 100% with keeping it, if you're gonna be on the class 6, you're gonna bring up the class 5.
Right.
Dirt, that's fine, but
Yeah.
I've
I've
always
pave
been a
it, but you're gonna
I've
build
always
it
been a
up that the-
proponent of bringing it up
yeah,
to
I
dirt,
mean-
dirt road standard, but, so,
Yeah, because as he pointed out here, that you're not required to issue the permit even though you've entertained these requests in the past. Just like you're doing it wrong, you
Yep.
don't continue to do it
Right.
wrong.
right,
Right.
You go through the town at 70 and you just don't get caught, doesn't mean you can do that every day.
right.
So.
Well, we hope not anyways.
just
chief's
saying.
right here, but you're not gonna be doing that.
La la la.
Yeah, the statute
You're
says,
nothing.
you know,
No, but I'm
before,
just saying, it just because you've done it doesn't mean it's, you
yeah.
can just continue. to
Right,
do it.
which I don't want to, especially where desirable lots are getting fewer and far in between in this town. So, you know, any builder is
And I
trying to
think you
use.
look at, if you look at anything that's for sale, the price tag reflects the hurdles that you have to do.
Absolutely,
You
right.
don't buy something for $40,000 and think you're just gonna walk in and put a house in it, because that's not gonna work.
Right.
There's a
No.
lot of hurdles that come with
I think,
something that's
I,
less
I
than
think, yeah,
expensive.
exactly.
Yeah.
The road access would reflect the property value
Exactly.
in the sale. So,
oh,
you know,
yeah.
you get for a song, you're gonna have to doctor it up a little
So
bit.
it appears like we're gonna have to change our path,
Yes.
because he talks about the review and comment from the planning board first, then to us, if you saw. So, with Wordley, he's already basically, they've already gained permission. So you'd think you have to, which I'll talk to Kelly about the next one, because we've got no applications now. So I think what you do is you like start clean slate, but you do have some in the pipeline. You've got the 3 that I talked about.
Yep.
So the 3 that you have, the Wordley one, you can put the conditions you need to on it. The 2 on, I think it's Sawyer or Jewett,
Yep.
you'll have to look at those 2 and
Individually.
see what those need as well.
One of them.
And then, you know, we can start out from scratch. And
Sawyer,
then this is the path.
I think Sawyer needs a little drainage and needs a new culvert down in there, and part of it, that was discussed
Correct.
before. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
some work that has to be done down there.
So individually, how do you want to assess the Wordley one? Because the Wordley one came to us, we got an opinion, we said we get back to him. So are we gonna get back to him tonight? Are we gonna tell them we want it to construct it to class 5 standards without pavement? What are you looking at doing?
Well, I think we need to find out too, what's gonna happen with that 450 feet that's already there.
Well, that's not the issue, though, we got pending. I think we
Well,
gotta
well,
deal
it
deal
is
with
the
this one
issue.
and then go
Because
back.
you
and
gotta
look at
upgrade
it.
That's the
or
issue, because
something.
you gotta get
Oh.
past that to
Get
get to the
paved.
Well, I
next.
know that, but I mean, the thing is to revisit that, well, that's gonna be a separate issue.
I'm not saying revisit it, I'm saying to include it in this one.
Well,
If we wanna get to the back, we gotta
I don't know how
update
you
it
can,
first.
I don't know how you
How you
can
can do-
include mine in Jan's.
It's your road, though.
you can't,
It's,
think you
but
can.
it's the town's road, it's not like it's a
I
driveway.
understand
But
it's
you'll
down
have
the
to
road, but I don't
revisit
think
their
you can combine
permission.
the two.
they were given permission before, so it has to be revisited separately.
Well, if it has to be receptive, I guess for the 1,300 feet, are we unanimous on class 5 dirt?
Yes,
Make it, bring it up to the standards, yeah.
definitely gonna have to be a road.
I'll form it as a motion, is it seconded?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Catch it? Because I didn't. I'm sorry.
So, all right, so the 1,300 feet that is being proposed for Wordley Road,
Yeah.
the board's wants to bring it to class 5 road
Bring the
standard.
standards up to, the town standards for
Right.
class
Which
five.
means the highway
Minus-
department will have to go
Who
down and
seconded it?
inspect that.
I did.
Okay.
No, yeah, the highway, and even the statute's clear on that, when they do stuff like that, any work on a town, if they're gonna do that, then the road agent has to be informed.
Right.
And
Right.
check it, so,
Keep checking it.
yeah,
because
that's part of the job.
Now what we ought to do is have Benji go out there and that first 450 feet, see what needs to
What's
be
gotta
done.
be done.
Yeah, because it may not be far off.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Is it, maybe, it might
I
just be
don't know.
width.
Can't remember.
I went out there, but I can't remember what the.
It might just be width.
Because the
I don't
weather
think
was
it's that
terrible
far
when I
off
went out
from
there. It
roadway,
was still,
if my
some
memory
still snow, and it was still raining, and it's raining when I went out, there's still snow on the ground.
Yeah, I think it's the width.
Yeah, that's
I'm
more.
assuming it would be,
Well, it
yeah.
seems to
It
me
is,
it's a
it's
good
narrow.
gravel
Like it all
road,
the
it's just.
time.
it needs
A lot
to
of,
be-
Wider.
a lot of ledge
Okay.
coming up through the road.
All right, we're getting distracted. Okay. So I think we put that one to bed. I think, I want to thank Bill Drescher for the report. Lengthy at best, yes, but full.
Right,
And very
I think
detailed.
what we can do is now, you can give it to Kelly, and you can give it to the planning board as to what
Yep.
he,
Yep.
and zoning board, and
Yeah.
this is the path we'll go down.
This is the path we need to go down per RSA.
Because it always was awkward that we were the last ones when
We
it's our
should be
road.
the, we
Yeah,
should be
we're the
first.
ones that has to be issuing the,
Yeah.
Right.
the okay.
But again, it's one of them things where it's a town road, and the further and further we get off the known town maintained roads, to me, it's a safety corridor,
Yeah.
so.
Yep.
All right, we'll move on to the approval of minutes,
You have 2 sets.
6, 5, and 17, right? Trying to get mine up. more.
I do have a question
No.
on this.
No.
Why do we not have July 1st minutes yet, 15 days out?
They're not ready.
Why? It's a state law, they have to be out 5 days. This is unacceptable, totally unacceptable. Can't do this. You've gotta do a better job 5 days, or something's gonna have to happen. That's my opinion.
I've got two June 17th. I don't know if you-
Okay. No, I got it. I got the fifth up. Yep.
6, 5, and 6, 17. Those are the ones we got, right?
Okay.
So which one are we doing? Right.
Fifth.
The fifth, I only had one on the last page, actually.
Okay.
The service contract for 3 lease copiers, paragraph, the 1, 2, third line, where it says selectman verdict, I think seconded, because Vice Chairman Meany moved it.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on the fifth?
No, I didn't see anything.
Entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the amendments to the minutes for June 5th, the minutes as amended.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
17th. Why don't I see the 17th? There they are. I was thinking about it. Anything on page 1?
Nope.
2?
Page 2, under public hearing, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines down. Let's see, non-resident. Okay, 140
Non-resident cars.
cars. That purchase day, wait a second. There were non-resident cars. That purchase day passes. Just add the word that.
Yep. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down from that over to the end of the line. Instead of possible, possibly. Make more.
Increasing the $20 they feel would be more in line with other state parks and possibly make more space for parking. That sound right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then in the last paragraph, at almost the end of the sentence, at the campgrounds are handled. Add the word are. In between campgrounds handled.
Okay. Yep. Anything else on 2?
Do you see it, Naomi, or?
Nope, not yet. Last
Okay.
paragraph.
Yep. The first sentence,
Campgrounds. Yeah, it says Selectman Snyder asked, starts off,
Yep.
and it says that the campgrounds are handled.
Asked how the people that are at the campgrounds handle.
asked how the people
That
that
are
are
in
at the
campgrounds.
campgrounds are handled, yeah.
How the people that are at the campgrounds are. Oh, you're taking out the first R and putting it back.
Mm-hmm.
No?
No.
No.
Asked how the people that are at the campgrounds handled.
Are handled.
Are handled.
Are handled.
Oh, they handled.
A-R-E.
Yeah, I know, but I wouldn't even know.
Asked how the people
Okay.
that are at
I
the
took French, so.
campgrounds are handled.
Not English?
No, it made perfect sense to me, but
Perfect
that's how I
fine.
talk, I guess.
Perfectly fine.
All right. 3?
Ask people that are at campgrounds.
The third paragraph down, the end of the sentence, non-residents to a per person fee, I think is,
Yeah.
so add the word to.
Yep. See it?
No,
Okay. Starts off Donna Osborne.
still the other
Yeah.
one.
the-
South Stark Highway stated that she was curious if the Parks and Recreation had thought about charging the non-resident,
Changing.
changing, not charging, yeah, changing,
Changing.
the non-resident to a,
per person fee. So add the word to. between non-resident.
I thought that was fine.
It was a long night.
Stated that she was
Being a
curious if Parks and Rec
non-resident-
had thought about changing the
non-resident.
non-resident,
A per person fee.
charging the non-resident a per person fee.
A per person fee.
Oh, okay.
About charging the non-resident
Residents
a per person fee.
Okay, all right.
Oh, okay.
I'll go with that.
Non-residents?
I don't care.
Okay, I misunderstood it,
No.
I guess.
Okay, all
I think
right,
you
Whatever
stuck changing to charging.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
I still
that,
think I was
that
right.
could be how we read it, yeah, that could be how we read it.
Yeah.
I was right in the other one, too.
Okay, this one I know is right.
Do you remember the foxes?
Under department head, 1, 2, third line down, he would like to donate, but not,
Without the board acknowledging it.
such as said.
I'll
the
agree
T.
on that one.
Okay.
All right, anything else on 3, 4, 5?
Okay, 5, no, 4, we're gonna have, oh, I have a couple. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth line down. Mr. Rassicot stated that,
Ms.
Mrs. Wiz, whatever, stated that she knows this is how things have been, take out time for quite some time. So take out that time.
It should
Thank-
probably be done.
Yeah, I think it should be
Been
done.
done.
For some-
yeah.
Rather than time, it should be
For
done.
quite some time.
Because if you
yeah.
text, that comes
Been
up.
done for quite some time. Yeah,
You text time and done shows up. Must be the
Okay.
keystroke.
Okay.
yep,
Next paragraph, after Jim Donison, that first line there,
Mhm.
after engineer, instead of but, put.
Yep.
okay.
I think, let's see, next paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, let's go from the bottom up. Third line from the bottom up on the third paragraph there. I think it should be shouldn't instead of should.
Shouldn't be up to them to put the bill.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else on 4, 5?
I only have,
On 5?
yeah, under vice chairman, meaning police chief, it's the second paragraph of that part. The next line down, I think it's our
Yep.
instead of out.
All right, 5, 6?
Let's see. Under gazebo, 1, 2, 3, fourth line down where it says Reed's Ferry, should come back. Next paragraph of the town office, the second line down, with a representative from Irving on, and then take out the. Next one, DPW, it's the roof leak instead of the rook.
New word.
Yep.
Must be a word.
I don't have anything else.
Belcher couldn't pick it up. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's when you play chess.
Oh, yeah, that's the wrong.
All right, move to approve the June 17th minutes as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Before you do that,
No.
can we talk about one of the supplemental?
Maybe,
You doing the manifest?
depending on how much money it is.
It's the 17,000 one.
No. No, I didn't get to look at it.
No, so,
No, I know what it is, but I didn't get to look at the product.
okay, but I sent Kyle over.
Okay.
So, there was this whole about the 17,703 being the last installment. And so I did have the check cut for that. Sherry and I spoke today, and we took a further look at the contract. And there was $5,000 in there to repair the crown molding on the backside of the town hall, which did not get done.
So no check.
So, no, he asked if we would take out the 5 and he would get them back here. So could he at least have the 12,703?
The other work is,
The other work is done, and Kyle looked at it.
We signed a contract, right?
Correct.
It's breach of contract if we pull it out. So I'm not okay with that myself. That's my own opinion on it.
Yep.
I think you're right. I mean, he agreed to do that, and he didn't. He pulled out, so.
Yep.
No,
So,
no.
no.
As they say, no.
No, I'm sorry.
job, so
I
you're
want
not
to see
getting-
it, I want to see it
didn't
all
finish
done
the job, so
for everything
you-
that we had in there.
I understand that, it took a longer time because of the weather. We've had a.
Yeah, we've had
weather
a
season,
full,
and then,
yeah.
And he had to try and scrounge to get another lift, but,
Yep.
okay,
he had good weather when the lift
But
came
if
back
there
the
was,
second
if there was a
time.
signed document of page 2 of that, that the chairman signed and
We all
that
agreed to.
Walker signed, then the contract, to me, wasn't upheld.
We all agreed to that, and it has to.
And if we were gonna pull that out, there'd have to be another something drafted.
Okay.
Everybody'd have to sign it.
And
Right.
he'd have to sign it,
So to me, it'd just be easier for him to come do the work.
do the work and
Right.
get the check.
Yeah,
one other thing.
go for it. I mean,
There's
ask.
another issue there, that the top panels around the very top of the upper section, those panels were set in between the spires, and that's how they were. And now, he's put the panel across the spire and boxed in the spires that way.
Okay.
It's, I mean, we know it's there, but I don't know. I mean, he would have to remake those panels all over. I don't think he can just cut them.
And I guess my question is it splitting hairs, or is it really that
'cause
detrimental?
well, looking at it, it looks like it, because it's just the top of the molding piece.
Yeah.
The
I
top
guess-
of the piece is out around it,
Yeah.
not.
I mean, we,
See
You'd
the-
have to
I
look
know, I see what
closer.
you're saying.
He said
30
it.
miles an hour is
Oh, I
not
see
making it
this.
look close.
You can
Right.
see the
You
spires
could
come
see,
out.
yeah, you
The
could see
panels were
where
in
the
between.
raised part is.
I mean, I guess I'll pull my chain back a little bit, but, I mean, we had to fight to get him, a vendor to do the job. I really don't wanna,
Yeah, I
you know,
just,
or, and to me, I mean, I guess it seems simple, I guess, as maybe possibly a simple error of, trying
Well, I
to,
couldn't remember
trying to go
what
off of
was
pictures.
still up there when
See,
he
I'm
came and
looking at-
looked at it.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, trying to go off of pictures and
I'm looking at
a
the
falling
spires,
apart
like
set of
the shadow,
spires
so it
and
looks
the
like it
railing
comes
falling off.
inside
because
of it.
it is inside, that's how
Now-
it used to be. Now it's all the way to the end.
Well, this
It
picture was
boxed
just,
it in.
this
No,
picture
no.
was just
No,
taken.
no, no,
six-
no, she just gave it to me that
Oh,
time.
I
okay.
just
This
gave
was
it to
taken a
her.
while.
Oh, it was taken a while ago.
2008,
Yeah, see the Christmas
9?
trees and stuff?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, yeah,
No,
okay.
no, it might have
I
been.
wasn't looking at that, I was looking at the roof.
No,
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, because
Oh, that was
Tyler's
back
only
at 12
grabbed
maybe.
it.
So
with-
that's
That was
how-
back when they were doing the doors.
Yeah.
13,
Oh,
Yeah, so
maybe
maybe like
13 or
I don't know,
14.
but
Okay.
See,
whatever,
I'm looking at,
yeah,
When were you on the
yeah,
board?
whatever, it's,
15.
yep.
it,
Okay,
it,
you were
it
here
doesn't
when
show
he
a lot,
did it,
but,
right?
I guess it's
I don't
up
think I
to
was
the
there
board.
yet.
It's on the,
I think I was on the board of fireworks still, I think.
John Van has pictures of the drone,
Right.
if you remember right.
yeah.
So
So, this is before.
Yep.
And you can see that line right there, that
Yep.
is a spire, so the
Yep.
panels went in between.
Yep.
And then, you see this line right
Yep.
here? There's probably an 1.5 inch square piece or whatever, I can't tell you, 2 inches.
Yep.
And that went around the outside edge to tie the spires in,
Yep.
And I,
strengthen them.
I mean, I do want to say that Dick Coburn, who worked on that before, is one that mentioned,
He mentioned it too, yeah.
that,
Yeah. I mean, and again, I roll back to, if we had a picture from 1784,
38,
I don't know.
1837.
1837, or even 25,
1764,
35, 45 years ago, that was,
100 years ago,
that was somewhere, I guess again, it's, was there spires up there? Yes. How were they tied together?
100 years ago? I don't know.
Do we know? So, I guess it's just one of the things, are we, you
200
know.
years, yeah.
Right, I don't wanna split hairs and have them rip the whole thing down because,
Yeah.
you know,
And then we're out a year again before we get it done.
right,
obviously.
and that's just
Say
it.
we leave it.
I'd say we leave it, but I'm not okay with cutting the contract up, just
No.
because.
He's supposed to do
I
the
just thought it would
molding,
ask-
the rest of the
I agree with
molding,
you.
and then
You
you're
want to
done.
keep these, or is these going back to Jan?
I kept
So-
it with this.
Okay.
That's fine, I just thought it was.
Okay, that doesn't
I had a
set well with me.
conversation at 5:45, so that's all.
Yeah, that just doesn't set well with me, and, sorry. So, all right, manifest.
So that's on there, so you'll have to,
I'll take it off.
okay,
I just won't read it.
okay.
Order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payables checks dated July 18th, 2019, is included in the following manifest. Payroll manifest of $54,108.31. A accounts payable manifest of $297,644.10. John Stark Regional manifest of $400,000, and a Weare School District manifest of $750,000 for a grand total of standby.
I don't have the
You gotta do the
numbers.
math.
Yep. $1,501,752.41.
I'll second.
Don't approve it yet.
Okay.
There's more to be read. The following manifests were previously ordered to be signed at the July 1st meeting of the Board of Selectmen. A payroll manifest of $60,318.62 for checks dated 7/11. Accounts payable manifest of $22,448.91, checks dated 7/11. And a fire department accounts payable of $9,602.64 pre-approved by the Board of Fire Wards. As there is no Selectmen's meeting scheduled for Monday the 22nd, further order treasurer to sign payroll dated July 25th, estimated to be about $65,000. Furthermore, to order the treasurer to sign up to the amount of $70,000 in accounts payable, including fire department accounts payable, approved by the Board of Fire Wards. I cannot wait until the next scheduled meeting of July 29th. Reports and actual check amounts will be reported to the Board of Selectmen by inclusion of next manifest memo at the next scheduled meeting. Is there a second now?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's a mouthful.
Okay. I've got a couple things I need you to sign before we get started.
Yay.
This is from DRA, and back, I don't know, 100 years ago. They used to do the, is that head and pole, whatever they
Hidden
used to
poll
call it?
tax.
Oh, yes.
So some people, some towns still use that form, and we haven't used the form in years, but they still send it to every town. So it says we will not be using the form in 2020, so you guys have to sign that.
Can you bring this young whippersnapper up to speed on what the head and poll tax was?
Oh, used to pay,
It'd be
was it-
$5.
$2?
No, what was $10 last time?
Yeah,
I
I
paid.
Yeah, last time it was
It says
$10. You
$10 a
paid
person.
$4 to one and $6 to the other for a total of $10. It was a poll tax so you could go vote, and then there was a head tax to show that you were a resident
Yeah.
of the town. You couldn't get don't laugh, you couldn't get a
You couldn't
hunting
register
fishing
your vehicles or
license,
nothing
you had the
without paying.
producer to go get a driver's license,
Yeah, I
so.
couldn't vote without it.
That's why I call it a head and poll tax. That's what it's
That's
called.
Polecat tax.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
anything to make a buck, huh?
so 2 weeks ago, you approved the lawn boy to do the Japanese
Not weed.
knotweed.
Yeah.
So what lawn boy needs to move on to the state is a contract signed it by the town. But there's one signature, so you have to authorize, which we did not do,
Yep.
is
Oh, we didn't
the
know.
chairman to do.
I make a motion that we allow the chairman of the Board of Selectmen to sign a contract with Lawn Boy Landscaping LLC of Hillsborough, New Hampshire, to,
Just the knotweed, because that's only the first phase, I think.
under the heading of vegetation management, to get rid of the knotweed.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Who do you want to put as a contact person for this? Would it be more?
Wendy, it's Wendy,
Yeah.
For the,
Assessing.
for the head and poll
Assessing,
tax?
Yeah.
assessing.
Assessing.
All right, good. It's just, there's a contact at the top. Be
Yeah,
right.
she wasn't here today,
Okay,
so.
I guess so.
Someplace.
Oh, yeah. Then the second one is, Kelly is the health officer, and Chip was always the deputy health officer. Now with Chip is retired, she would like to have us have, Kyle be the deputy. So, there's enough signatures here, you don't need to make a motion, so that Kyle would be the deputy health officer, Kelly would be the health officer. And two more things I'm just gonna pass down, doesn't need a motion. Every year you guys do the junkyard license for Weare Body and Frame and Allied Auto Wrecking.
Yep.
So the applications, the copies of the receipt, and the copies of the checks are here, so I'll just pass them your way. Okay, then we can move on to my report. We'll start with the buildings, you know, we talked about them. Town hall projects, we already talked about the rod on the back part's not been done, that will be done. Well, some of, whatever's there will be done.
For $5,000 worth.
The bell tower itself is done, but as we just discussed, the part of the contract is not. I don't have anything to add to, Gordon Brown's. The gazebo, I left a message for Reed's Ferry, but I don't have a call back yet, to have them come look at it. Clinton Grove, I don't have anything more to add. The propane tank, Kyle gave me the information. I have been in and out, so I just gotta get that over to him, which was the measuring of the baseboards and the total square feet. Kyle was, curious why they didn't ask for the window sizes, but they didn't, so.
Yeah, for heat loss, you don't want
Right,
to.
so I'm gonna send those over, and then, as I said to you, once I get those back, I'll kind of take off the name and solicit the same, so we have apple-to-apple quotes for a few other, I'll get 3 prices. I haven't done anything more with cameras, sign repair I haven't. Air conditioners, same deal. We have one, that one's not working, so the girls usually open the door here. I thought it was this one that's not working, so they open the door to use the air conditioner. Again, Granite State sent me, I just need to get 2 more quotes so that we have 3 quotes. But, as we talked before, I'm not sure how many of these projects you're gonna have to do priority-wise, because we're gonna be almost at where we thought we would hang on to
Yeah.
for money. That, which is, I haven't done anything more with the painting of Clinton Grove or the Gordon Brown barns for that. Let's see, and then, we haven't really moved on anything with the GC. I will tell you, it is nice to have Kyle in the building. I could send him around to, he did the measuring. He did, went over to, the bell tower and looked around so that I could have somebody check on him, check on what was supposed to be done, so it was nice. This one hasn't had much movement at all. Chris gave you an update on the ACO. I don't know what's happening with SEDS, if you remember, that was that whole SEDS thing. You talked about Mildred Hall tonight, and you talked about Class 6 Road. Thursday I have a personal appointment, so I won't be here. Beth provided you with printouts, and I don't know if you had a chance to look at them all, if you want to talk about them all, but I basically, what I look for is where everybody is department-wise and then overall-wise. And if you look at, the halfway point, we're just about where we should be, a little bit under 49.37% left. So we're about halfway through. And so as we get a little closer, I will be reaching out to department heads if I think we're in an issue. The other thing I just, we've talked about the revolving fund. We've kind of kept an eye on it. We're still not quite, we're still in the red on that one, I believe, if I look at this correctly, 1676.36.
Can we go back to the financial reports for a
Yep, go
minute?
ahead.
I did ask a couple questions on the financial reports. I just went through the vehicle maintenance real quick. A couple of the police cars needed brakes. Obviously, brakes are consumables. They won't be covered under warranty. They're like $600 a pop for car 4 and car 5. The highway department, you know, I just kind of want to put a statement out there that we're getting to the point that we were with the police cruisers. We're spending a lot of money and we're throwing good money away at bad.
Who did the work? Who did the work on the cruiser?
On the,
Mark Phillips.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
I
saw
don't
the
understand.
vehicle.
I believe so.
I thought the highway department was supposed to start picking that up.
When they can,
Yeah.
I believe. Well, I shouldn't say that. Let me rephrase that. I don't know if Mark Phillips did it or not. Don't let
We
me.
haven't seen
I don't want to shoot off the hip like
invoice.
that. It was a parts invoice that I asked about. It was $600 for brakes. So
Whose name was on the parts invoice?
it just said car
Hillsborough-
4.
It was Hillsborough Ford, right?
Hillsborough
No, it
Ford.
was Sinel's. The brake parts were Sinel's.
Something that I signed.
I'm pretty sure. I got them right here. I'll look again.
I thought those were a,
There was one for
they were
Ford in
OEM.
Hillsborough
Yeah.
that I signed today.
I thought that was an
Yes,
OEM.
but this is from June, somewhere like that. I just happened to go over when Beth forwarded us the financial reports.
Accounts payable.
Yeah, it was Sinel's.
She puts the,
Car 4, Sinel's.
okay.
I don't see a note, shipped to Weare Highway Department. So the Highway Department did do them.
Okay.
There's a note at the bottom that says ship to Weare Highway Department.
But aren't those,
$511 for the brakes, front and rear brakes.
That's a lot of money.
No, not really.
that's
Not
what
not
you get for those
not
cars.
when you're talking
Which car was it for? Was it the one of the car 5 or 6?
4 and 5.
Four.
Right? They're the
Four and
Chargers.
Dodge Chargers.
The front rotors for my car are almost $200
Yeah.
because of the size of them and because I had to replace them.
Yeah, that's true.
I got to replace them again because they're warped. Trust me, I know.
Is this
It
what
hurts.
you were talking about right here, this one?
Yeah, well, that's the highway side. Yeah, exactly. But the cars kind of stood out because obviously 2, 3, 4, 5 are the new Chargers. 6 is the Explorer. 8 is his car, and 9 is the Crown Vic. The
The dog car?
Which is sitting there.
Lieutenant's car.
The lieutenant's
So
car is sitting there.
you hit a number like that because it's one of our new vehicles. Why we putting $600 into it? I thought stuff was warranty, so that's why I asked about it.
But I don't know, that's quite a bit of miles in that too, right?
Yeah, I mean they're starting to creep up there, and plus they're
Those are
driven.
the two first ones, right?
They're driven hard. Yeah, I mean 3, 4, and 5 were the first ones, so they've been driven hard. I mean it's it's part of the nature of the business. But I just wanted to make sure that it was something that was a consumable
Sure.
rather than we're putting a steering rack in it. Well, that should have been warranty, So 4 and 5 got the same parts, if I remember correctly. It was brakes, rotors, and there was a $50 something or other for oil change while they were there. So yeah, and this one has a note on it, delivered to Weare Highway Department. So the Highway Department did do that work. It was not Mark Phillips. My apologies.
I did see a vehicle down there though this week.
Yeah, I'm sure. And the thing is as the chief knows, I'm sure he's been brought up to speed. Is when the Highway Department can do it, and Tom's not swamped in work, the Highway Department does it. If the Highway Department can't do it because they're not, because it goes to Phillips. But I just, again, we're getting to the point on the Highway Department where we're throwing good money at bad, just like we were.
One truck.
Well,
How old is truck 4, do you know?
Truck 4 is probably like a 2009,
Yeah.
2008.
Years old.
Yeah, it's 20.
Do we know what happened there?
Yeah, that was that huge engine one. It wasn't an engine. It was exhaust manifold,
the
injector
Volvo?
harness, a couple of injectors. There was some other work. There was an
That was a
oil leak.
Volvo.
That was the
Yeah.
All
Volvo.
that,
Yeah, it's one of the Volvos, but it was a big ticket item. And again, it's
I think that truck ought to go.
and I'm sure that's not the worst offender now. Now that we put all that money into it, it's probably not the worst
Well,
offender
that's
anymore.
not now, but
But again, it's getting to the point now where we're throwing good money at bad, and I commend the crew down there for trying to keep the fleet patched together with farmer fixes, get through the storms, and the work of Tom, because I know, in dealing with Tom a little bit on the phone and in person, and I've, he used to work at one of our sister dealerships. He's trying to keep the ship together. He does good work, along with all the other employees down there. But it's just, again, it's a daunting task. When you're this far behind and
All the
stuff is breaking left and right, it's a full-time
Well,
job
I
and
mean,
then
the
some.
thing is that, I guess we just have to,
And we get to the point too, where, the 2007 Plus product is all highly advanced emissions components. You got DPFs, you got, 2010, you got the SCR systems with the DEF, and we don't have any.
As I now hand him out.
Yeah.
well, I mean, the thing is
I
that,
know, I already was
sorry.
going to say, I
We-
don't
yeah.
Okay, we went along with you.
He's sitting here.
I was gonna hand them out
think so.
before
Look
and,
at you, so-
I got-
Apologize.
I
You know,
got
Pete's getting
my
to
hand slapped,
everybody.
so.
We don't have any of the specialized equipment to work on some of that, so it boils back to, you gotta sub it out, or you wanna buy the
Well, I
stuff.
mean, the other thing is the cruisers are, they're getting higher mileage, but if that's what it costs to do the brakes.
I think we should buy them all a Schwinn bike and let them go out bike all summer, and they'd get in shape.
You gotta run for the PT test, we can run. Might take us a little while for calls of service.
Especially up on the Cram Road.
Yeah,
Yeah, Cram Road would be.
I gotta go up Mountain Road, yeah, right up the hill on
Well,
the
think of
bike.
it, yeah, all that vehicle maintenance and gasoline and everything, we'll probably hire two more officers.
Yeah.
Well,
And they'd be in a lot better
but you
shape.
gotta look at it this way, we're not in the same boat we were a few years ago.
No, we're not, and I think,
Spending our majority of our
absolutely, and I have to thank,
budget.
I have to thank the taxpayers a lot, because, you know, they are, I don't know what's, I don't wanna say what's changed, but, it seems like, the information's getting out there, it's getting to the voters, and they see the need, and they're supportive of it. You know, and it is, it's a need, unfortunately, a dire need, and, you know, I mean,
Well, if I'm voting no for so long and then having to catch up.
well, and that's what it hurts. It's easier spread it out than all at once, but sometimes, like the roads, you gotta hit it hard, you know, and hit it fast. You know, so it's unfortunate. I agree that, you know, I'd like to keep a low tax rate too. Of course, you know, again, sometimes tax rate is education as well, but we won't go down that road. We're the municipality. But you know, $13,200 on a repair bill for one of the trucks. That's what really drove that conversation right there, is the fact that it's, you know, a substantial amount. We're already at 50.
What's 15,000 to date
Right.
this year on just that
Right, just that
vehicle?
one truck. And the total cost of repairs for trucks, and I believe that this includes the parts buy that we do in-house, so you can't really count that as $57,278 as of year to date.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I think we put out, what, 60 or 70 in that line,
Which,
the repairs line,
Repair.
at the beginning of the year for the budget? It's not over, I know it's not 100, I know that, but it's 70 or 80.
it was 70 something.
So, I mean, we're already, you know, we're just through July, and we're already burned most of that line,
Then
so.
again, you get big rigs, you get big.
Oh, that's just
money.
it, you know, when,
The bigger the vehicle, the more money it costs.
well, that's just it, like, when my father was trying to explain to my mother how the trucking industry works, it's, you know, if you buy a car tire for $30, you put a zero on it, for a truck tire, it's
You put
300,
85 in the budget.
At least.
you know,
At least.
so. But that's realistic numbers,
Yeah.
You put 85.
85, I mean, it's realistic numbers, you
Right.
know, so.
Well, hopefully they've done a lot of repairs here
I think
over
they
the summer
have.
months,
Yeah.
so we're not gonna see a lot come
Well,
fall.
until they put the plows back on, they
So
start.
Benji
start
said
hitting
they
Get
had
ready
to
for
get,
winter, you'll see a lot more coming.
Yeah, exactly,
back.
yeah.
so Benji's listening. Hi, Benji.
Hi,
So,
Benji.
You had to get brake parts from Dodge because the new Snell/Napa can't get the police brakes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is what it is. They're consumables. I get it.
it's a deal or bought item.
Yeah, you know, but again, that's not covering the warranty, and
For
if we
another
can do it
couple
in-house,
years,
why would
then
we
it'll
pay
come
somebody else to
out.
do it?
Right.
You know, so
Yep.
it's I'm not complaining about the bill. I'm just saying it was a
Pointing it
flag
out.
to myself
Yeah.
to look at. That's all.
Yeah.
So
So that's what it was. I saw that
Yep.
from Hillsborough Ford. I was
Yep.
curious.
Yeah, so it was Hillsborough Ford they came from, because they're the,
came on a Snell's Napa slip though.
what's that?
It had it. It was on a Snell's Napa slip.
Well, it
Could've
might have
been
been for
Hillsborough
something
Dodge.
else.
No. Unless
Could have been the oil.
Beth get well, that's an expensive oil change.
That's for sure.
Because I asked about the 600. Yeah.
What's he say?
2017 Charger, $511.94. Brake pads front, rear. Shipped to the highway department, and then there was an oil change on the end of it.
Well, there
And
was
it's-
something from the Ford garage, because I saw it.
Okay.
Car 4.
Snell Napa,
Yep,
car 4,
Yep.
front brakes, pads, rotors, $511. So I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm sure some parts got to come from the dealer. We all know that, but anyways, just a thought, just putting it out there. Like I said, no malicious activity, no negative, just reality.
Just curious, yeah.
Just curious, so I had questions. I think that was the June financial reports.
Yeah, and then that's really all I had. Sorry, I just
Okay.
passed them down after I realized they were sitting to my right.
I didn't want to say anything.
Nope.
Well, you
Kept
could've.
looking at you,
Well,
but
I,
Okay.
You could have.
So you're all set with your report?
I am.
All right, correspondence, other business. I grabbed that junk pen again. I'm gonna throw
I
it
have a
across the room
couple
pretty
things,
quick.
but
Catch.
No,
he's got one.
I got one. I got two of them.
that
over here. I
one.
keep grabbing the wrong one. So, other business correspondence from the board? Yes, no, maybe?
Correspondence, one of the things that came through was a letter from a resident,
Oh, yes, yep,
regarding Flanders and Thorndike.
yep. How good the
And
deep,
using
Oh,
both
yeah.
those roads, I have to say that, I mean, especially Flanders.
yep,
That is.
the shim and overlay,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
I always went the back way because
Yeah.
this was so bad. You're just like,
Yeah.
oh my
Probably should have the chief up there.
So it
watch
was- it's
speed-
great.
Watching the speed.
Yeah, it'll now
going
turn,
on.
now that it's been paved, it'll be a raceway.
Hint, hint, wink,
track.
wink. So,
I don't know so much a Memorial, but, Flanders Memorial, but definitely Thorndike.
oh, yeah,
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Flanders was bad.
yeah. It will be in that section between Holly Hill and the
Yeah.
end. I did have, a comment I'd like to make. I was going up to Quaker Street the other day, and I looked up, and I'm like, wow, road seemed brighter. I know it's because they'd mowed. And what a
Oh,
and what a difference.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've stated my position on purchasing of the mower, but it really shows, how much we need that. There was a couple bills that Selectman Snyder brought up about it, that we were looking at, and some of it's wear items.
Yeah.
We kind of knew going into it, it's a used machine, we were gonna have parts that were gonna fail, but in the big scheme of it, it's gonna pay for itself sixfold if we keep it even 2 or 3 years.
Pay
So
for
I
itself
think,
by the end of this year.
exactly, I think it's
If you figure, what, 13,000 a month? I
yeah,
mean, so,
2 months, it's all
Yeah.
paid for.
2 months, and we're all going on 2 months now, so.
right, exactly, so, and
They can go and do it when they need to.
and when they can.
Yes,
You know?
Right
right.
through November unless you get snow.
Right. Well, even if we get a little bit of snow, they can keep mowing. It's not a big deal, as long as they don't put chains on it. But no, I wanted to comment that again, it does look good, and it's something that's been needed to be done for a long time. Again, you can only do so much when you got it for 3-4 weeks.
Right.
You got to prioritize. So, looks good. So, anything else?
I see
Is
they're
that-
working up on Maple Wall, I think.
Yeah, that's all dug up.
Ground,
Yeah, it's all ground,
ground.
reclaimed.
Yeah.
Yep.
and they've marked Quaker Street for
For a couple
shim
shim
and overlay.
overlays. Yep.
Yep,
Yep. And a couple spots there de-lambing.
yep.
So, I think, again, and I read a lot of comments on one of the Facebook pages for the town of Weare. I try and be, when I comment back, I try and be informative. I don't try to be argumentative. There was a lot of negative comments about why didn't, when they did Thorndike, why wasn't, they did the wrong section. They didn't do from Quaker to Reservoir. And my response to that was, unfortunately, if you put pavement on that, it's gonna look the same way as next year as it does this year.
Yeah.
Right.
That one's gonna be,
The purpose of the bond, the
that's
purpose
gonna
of
be
the
a complete
paving.
reclamation.
Right,
Yes.
you're right, the purpose of the bond, the purpose of the money in the paving was to keep your good roads good. And, I also brought up the point that we had that meeting with the T squared program and All States Asphalt, and, unfortunately, it was a little snow that night, but we only got about 25 people out, and that was a very informative session.
Oh, yeah.
On why the importance of keeping your good roads good. So again, some of the questions I've tried to answer, some were transfer station questions, some of them are road issues, DPW, what are the cops doing driving around 100 miles an hour, but. I haven't seen that one yet, but again, I don't represent the board and when I comment. I just try and be informative. If we've made an action here that was on camera, I make sure to state that. Some people are complaining. I forget what they're complaining about. I say, come to our meetings, talk to us about it. We don't bite, we just nibble. So, it's just, I think a lot of it is just lack of information. And somebody was looking for minutes, said they hadn't been updated for 5 years. I says, no, here's the link. They're right here. It's, they're as current as we go. So,
And the park and rec ones are up now.
Yep,
Just
so-
you know.
I do have to say, too, that Benji did say that end of Thorndike was going to be done at a later time.
Yeah.
because it
Okay.
did
Yeah.
need
He has
be
to do it, he has to
he
do a
did mention
complete.
it's gotta be reclaimed. You can't just
Gotta
shim
do
it. You
like
can't shim it.
Maplewood, you gotta.
Yeah, you gotta reclaim
If
it.
you do, you're gonna just be putting good money over bad.
Exactly.
And that's
gonna be
what I
in the-
said,
It's gonna be in the same shape
Yep.
in a year or
So,
less.
But, I think the, again, we've talked about it with the library and we've talked about it here on this board is getting information out there. And I think, I think that, Mike Sullivan, the library, does a great job. All the library personnel do a great job with the Where in the World and, you know, in their activities, getting information across. But I think that these couple Facebook pages these people have started also get quite a bit of information out there as well. So, you know, and I've seen, you know, Chief Moore out there. He's commented a couple times as far as, you know, his department. And I think that that's a huge, you know, informational network to put out there. So. Did you have anything else, Naomi?
Yeah, I just sent you the one, we were in a butter to that Collins Landing easement.
Yes.
There was, I have not been able to locate the minutes, but there was minutes discussion that there was 2 people that bid on this project. And that, I think I told you.
Yep.
There was, what was it, $21,000?
Yep.
To do this project. So we, as abutters, were notified, and just if anybody had any concerns, he sent us a letter stating that he'd been hired by the conservation, and you guys all got it. And if you had any questions, he gave the number, the plate of his vehicle and everything, if somebody saw him around, just so you guys know, if you get questions.
Yep. I raised a question of that because I saw that, you know, the Conservation Commission had hired a surveyor, and I just want to make sure that
For Collins Landing.
the purchasing policy was followed as far as the bids, and sounds like it was.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then I had sent you one about, from Governor Sununu.
Yep.
In regards to going to that budget meeting.
I personally don't have a problem with it.
Well, I'd like to go. As a Board of Selectmen member,
Is it open to said?
well,
Just
it's
says
my understanding that the
town's
governor's
designated.
letter was sent to the boards of selectmen, aldermen, town council, not
Okay.
meaning council,
Right,
li-
but
like
council,
lawyers,
local.
council,
Yeah, local.
to local boards, and that what they wanted was one member. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody else that wants to go. I just
I
was
can't go. I
speaking up
gotta
for
go work.
myself that I'd like to go, but
I would go, but I'm working that day too, so.
they're looking for somebody who's like, has constituents as a voter, as,
Well, I have no problem if you both go. I just, you know.
well,
like
I don't
said.
know as we can. It
Why?
says-
She
Yeah, I'm
could
an
go-
elected official, too.
She's elected official through the school board.
But the school is not part of this. This
Why
is,
isn't it? They're talking about educational
Yeah.
stabilization grants.
yes, but as far as being invited to it,
Oh, by the
the
board.
school
Oh,
is
I don't know.
not part of it.
I read it, it sounded like they were
You know
opening
what?
it
I'll
up to
just email
them.
them on my own and ask when I go. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I
And
think,
I can send Jan, doesn't matter. I can
Yeah,
just
I mean,
ask.
either or. I think you're in the right with the school, and I think you're in the right with the board, so.
Right, but
so-
I know that they
Hopefully,
did
I mean,
not
it'd be
invite
nice if they'd
school,
open it up so
school
2 or
board
3
members
people
or
could
anybody.
go,
They
you know,
wanted,
From a town,
I think part of it's room.
probably.
Probably.
Well, I've
wrong.
never been to
They're at
the
the,
Sweeney Auditorium.
Sweeney Auditorium is good size, but not,
Not huge.
you know, it's not
yeah, and you
huge.
figure there's 234 towns,
Yeah.
and
so-
one person from each
Yeah,
town,
you gotta fill it up.
or
real quick.
city, or
Yeah,
whatever.
you won't get the north towns to come down, I don't
You
think,
might, you get certain
Is it in
ones.
Concord?
on a
Berlin
Friday.
and stuff.
Yeah.
You'll get Berlin for sure.
Well, if they bring a.
Well, yeah, because of.
They bring
They're
a
the
van.
ones, they're the ones that brought a lot of it to the forefront.
Right,
The mayor up there
yeah, if they
did.
bring a van down, yeah, there'll be all of them in there.
The mayor did, and I'm
I'll
sure,
I'll chip $20 in.
and I'm sure you'll
And I know
probably
what
get,
he's doing. He's going to be explaining why he does not, why he did his veto, is basically what it
Wow.
is. And there's a new, a judge came down on the school appropriations, or the school adequacy amounts and so forth, so I'm sure that's gonna be part of it. And I know that he does not want to do the same amounts as the legislature wants to do. I mean, when he gave the business profits tax and the
yeah.
business enterprise tax, so, I mean.
Yep.
And he's looking for, like, the member to be able to speak to the representatives from the town to,
Yeah, and that's,
as to how to vote on it or whatever. So anyway,
all right. I have no problem if Jan goes. I have no problem if Naomi goes,
Neither do I.
so.
Both can go.
okay,
I'll ask
so
him.
should I
Especially with
register
the time.
myself, or,
Yeah, go ahead. And then
Okay.
I'll just ask him if there's room.
okay,
Not a big deal.
okay.
And then the last one is I had received an email, which probably was a follow-up to a question for you, Chris, at your,
Coffee out?
coffee time. Mr. Kirk had asked about, it said at a recent public meeting, the police chief said Kalia membership reduced the town's liability insurance rate, but didn't know how much. Would we be able to provide that number? Was that asked of you?
Yes.
Okay. So I did reply back, and I replied, because Chris wouldn't have had that information anyway, not knowing.
Right.
So I replied back to Mr. Kirk, telling you, and the whole town should know, that we've been getting a discount since 2016. And this renewal for this year represents $3,780 for property liability and $1,407 for workers' comp, for a total of $5,187
So the discounts.
of a discount.
Nice.
Yeah, $5,187.
Nice.
Yep.
That's good.
So it's a wash.
Yeah.
No,
Not really. It's about
not a wash.
$3,000 it costs you.
So it's about half, I'm thinking about half of it.
Yeah, it's 85, it's in the budget for 85, and this is 5187.
That's good.
Just so anybody else that was there and wants to know, that's where, I was wondering where that "meet the public" in quotes that came from.
Okay. Awesome.
I do have a quitclaim deed here for All Seasons, lot 106, that we tried to
So,
sell. I'm gonna hold on it,
Yeah.
just because I need to check on something,
Okay.
according to Laura, before.
no,
So
I'd
I'll
rather
hold on it.
cross
I may
cross the
send
Ts and
you,
dot the Is.
I may send you out an email and put it upstairs, if I get the right
Sign
answer,
it. Yep.
for you to sign it, but I'm not gonna do that tonight,
Okay.
because it's not appropriate to be dated tonight without the answer. And that's all I have. I would like just a couple minutes of your time. There's a couple of questions regarding the deeds versus payment plans
Okay.
that I won't take very long, because it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay. Anything else on the board?
No.
Do we have to, because names?
We have to. if we
Or
always-
can we just hand it
Yeah,
down?
there's their information about their finances is in here.
Yeah.
We'll go under.
Yeah.
I like that idea. All right. So, we'll be adjourning after the short non-public. We're going to non-public under RSA 91A3 Roman 2C.
Second.
Before you do that, though, I just want to thank our new chief for being out there, getting exposure within the town and,
Yeah.
you know, become a community effort. So
Yeah, I think
I
that-
really
I think
want to
that's huge.
thank you for that and appreciate the effort that you're putting towards it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And again, we'll be we'll be adjourning after this.
Yeah.